everybody, Jason here from Ghostbusters News, and recently here on the channel, I've documented a couple of 3D print builds. The first came during last Halloween with a real Ghostbusters proton pack, ghost trap, and ecto goggles. And then, most recently, a massive Firehouse action figure playset, with that build still being in the works. In fact, recently here in the collection studio, I've been moving a few things around to better display that Firehouse. So for those that have been asking, keep posted for a second build video in that series. But today, I wanted to attempt something a bit easier. As well, that proton pack and that Firehouse, they took days, I guess weeks. Heck, in the Firehouse's case, now it's been months to complete. Sometimes it's just fun to do a one-day project. And recently, I came across retro toy enthusiast and 3D sculptor Pablo Decal, otherwise known as La Calavera. Right now, you're taking a look at Pablo's Patreon page, and among the files that you can grab there are a handful of designs based on the real Ghostbusters. And in my opinion, the best thing about these files, aside from looking great, is they pretty much come good to go. Meaning you do not need to alter them or add support. They are really efficient, they're foolproof, and if we're talking foolproof, much like in those past 3D print videos, today I'm going to be printing with the Bambu Lab X1 Carbon. And as I've said previously, this is one of the first 3D printers that I've used that feels more like an everyday appliance. As in, you just hit the print button, and the majority of the time it works, rather than something you constantly have to tinker around with. And if you couldn't already tell from the title, in today's video, we're going to be building Mr. Stay Puft. So for this Marshmallow behemoth, my goal is to get this thing not only printed, but glued together, assembled within 24 hours. So let's go ahead and start with the biggest piece, that being the torso. Well, actually pieces, because there's both a front and a back. And I'll be printing these for the most part with Bambu Lab stock settings. I may tweak a few things here and there. And with these settings, both Stay Puft's front and back side, they took about 8 hours in total to print. Overall, I think they look pretty good, and I should mention that I'm going to try and keep this build highly minimal when it comes to post-processing. I am going to do a small bit of sanding to these prints though, at least to the ones that I think that need it, as while I love the X1 Carbon as a printer, it's still not perfect. So yeah, stuff like this is what I'm looking to get rid of. I sand using first 180 grit, followed by 220. As well, to dial down the shine of the 3D print and to kind of make it, I guess, look a little bit more like Marshmallow, I'm going to hit it with some matte clear. And this is the end result between the two. Straight off the print bed is on the left, and 5 minutes of sanding and a matte clear coat on the right. From there, let's continue printing Stay Puft's body, and up next, we've got his legs. And these were incredibly easy, and they came off perfect. Like, I really didn't have to sand anything on these. Then there's the arms, which print off in 3 separate pieces. This includes, well, the arms, and then to eventually attach the arms to the torso, I needed to print and glue this peg. From there, you just glue on the hand, and that's it, you're done. And I'm building this thing as I'm making this video. I've already glued the torso together. You'll see the arms here, they are articulated, which is really cool. I still need to add the legs, but yeah, the total print time for the arms, the legs, using the X1 Carbon's ludicrous speed settings, took me about 5 hours. From there, we've got the head, and for this, I'm going to make use of Bambu's AMS system, which allows for multicolored prints. And while it does work great, it does add a ton of extra time to your print. Like if I was going to print Stay Puft's head all in white, the time it would have taken was about an hour and a half on normal speeds, while this little bit of black and red, it stretched the print to over 5 hours. But with that said, considering I wanted to keep post-processing to minimal and not have to paint this or anything, yeah, I think the added time, it was worth it. Overall, I'm quite happy with it. There is a very slight, almost unnoticeable bleed over from the black into the white that I don't know if the camera is going to pick up on, but outside of that, yeah, this is perfect. From there, all that's left to really print is Stay Puft's sailor suit. First, we got the chest piece with the red, white, and blue details, and everything here is printed separately. The red bow you pretty much just insert into his chest cavity. I'm just adding a little bit of glue here. All right, just put a little bit of pressure, and there that is. And now let's just add the blue piece here with the white trim. Again, that's just added separately. Oh, that looks so good. And then there's the hat. I especially love the white Stay Puft branding that you glue into place. I think it came off looking so good. as well also glued the red ribbon into place, and while the button atop the hat, I think it should be blue, it wasn't made to be a separate piece in the files, and honestly, I didn't want to add an extra 2 to 3 hours to the print time for such a small detail. And the hat and the chest piece together to print took about 2.5 hours, so really my total here for everything was about 21 hours, not bad at all, and being that everything is now printed, everything is ready to be attached, let's go ahead and build the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I mean, fully build the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And here he is, the one-man gang, New York City's walking condominium, Mr. Stay Puft. And when it comes to a one-day build of printing, about 45 minutes of post-processing, and then just gluing everything together, this turned out much better than I expected. It looks super clean. In fact, I don't really think it looks like an FDM print at first glance. I mean, there is a few telltale signs, but overall, I'm going to display this one proudly within the collection here. And as I kind of mentioned, alluded to before, this Stay Puft, it was kind of designed in mind as like a throwback action figure, pairing very well with Kinner's The Real Ghostbusters. In fact, given that we've got one here, here is the 3D printed Stay Puft next to Hasbro's Kinner Classic Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And I don't want to pick favorites here, and I know nostalgia is a hell of a drug, but I think the one that I made is a little better. Also, while we're at it, here is that Stay Puft Marshmallow Man next to the Real Ghostbusters, Peter, Ray, Winston, and Egon. Is it to scale? No, of course not. I mean, to do that, I would need a much larger printer. But had I had a Stay Puft like this as a kid, it would have given my Real Ghostbusters action figures a huge, massive threat to bust. When it comes to Stay Puft size, I guess I could maybe like upscale them 2 times. If you'd like to see that, comment down below, let me know. Also, if you maybe want to see the one-day build series become a regular here on the channel, again, comment down below, let us know. And for those of you who do have a 3D printer and you would like to print your very own Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, they're available through the La Calavera Patreon page. And you know we got a link to it down below in the description. With that said, that's all I've got for you for this one. As always, subscribe. If you'd like to join up with Ghostbusters news, check out our Patreon page. A link to that is also down below, and we'll see you right back here next time.
Your spine, your senses don't deceive you. Call up the guys who are ready to believe you. The number's 555-2368. But before you call, let's get something straight. What do you do when the ghosts have been busted? Is it the source universally trusted? If you've got a case of Ghostbuster blues, the cure for sure is Ghostbusters news. Jason's the guy who's doing the heavy lifting.